It's Olympia Week here at Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the crew, John Romano, Chris Aceto. We got a big week coming up. The Mr. Olympia contest taking place in Orlando, Florida. We had the most booths. According to Dan Solomon, who runs the Olympia, they have sold the most booths at the expo they ever have. They have the most prize money they've ever given away. And Big Ramy will be trying to defend his title, as well as Chris Bumstead in the Classic. Sean Clarita in the 212. Guys, how's it going? I know, Chris, you're already down there in Orlando. What's shaking?
Nothing shaking yet. I mean, it's Monday, obviously, and the weigh-in is today for the amateurs, and the amateurs go on Wednesday. So, I mean, there's people here already, obviously. Having said that, Orlando still seems kind of quiet, you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen anybody?
Aside from your guys,
I
mean.
haven't seen just a couple people I help, you know? Yeah, I haven't seen anyone to me. You know, I heard Instagram went down today, so that's a black eye for bodybuilding. Yeah,
Instagram is still down. I don't know what's going on. The world must be coming to an end.
I got news for you. StreamYard isn't already all the way up either.
Before we started recording, everything we were talking fine with no problems.
It's just terrible.
Yeah. It's like a delay or something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's first talk about, before we get to the Olympia, let's talk about Nathan De Asha, who won the Arnold UK this past week. And by the way, I don't think Arnold was there, but I saw Stallone was there and Dolph Lundgren was there. Did you see that?
I don't know if Arnold wants to show his face after.
Yeah, that's great that they were there. I mean,
I don't think Arnold wants to travel. I don't blame him. He's afraid of getting COVID, probably. Right?
His leg is in a cast.
Oh, that's right. What did he do to himself?
His donkey probably bit him.
No, what did he do? Did he have another skiing accident or something?
I don't know.
You don't really know? No one knows?
Maybe somebody tried breaking his legs for the shitty prize money at the Arnold this year.
The prize money was good. It was $130,000 for the winner.
Wasn't it always like 400 or something?
No, that's the Olympia. That's the Olympia. All right, let's the Arnold UK is the first year they held it. What? Chris is lagging.
Yeah,
greatly. He was fine before when we were talking off the camera. As soon as I hit play, and record, Chris is all of a sudden out.
You were the one that was fading out.
I know, but you're hearing me, obviously.
Well, I can see you too now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Chris, can you hear us? No. Well, I'm going to go.
You guys
there you are.
I go like every fifth word.
Maybe, disconnect and reconnect with the link, Chris. I'll boot you. All right. Chris will come back.
Yeah.
Let's play this little clip from Nick Strength and Power here, because I can't find the NPC doesn't have the pictures up yet. So we'll play this little clip. This is Nathan De Asha beating Samson Dauda. These are 1-2 at the Arnold UK. Nathan had just won that show to qualify for the Olympia, about a month ago. I don't think he's going to make it, John, after the Olympia, from what I understand, because of quarantine issues. Now, I don't know why he chose to do this show and not do the Olympia, or if he was having problems. I heard some rumors that he was having problems maybe with a visa because of his former arrest he had. I don't know if that's the case, though. I know when I interviewed him about a month or so ago, he had told me it was going to be, if he did the Arnold UK, which was pretty much guaranteed he was going to win, that he was going to have a problem making it to the U.S. because of the fact that he, let's face it, he has to quarantine for 2 weeks. So he was going to have to try to go to Mexico.
He's got to quarantine for 2 weeks.
There's all these different rules. Certain countries you don't have to quarantine, like Dubai. But if you compete on a Saturday, he wasn't going to have enough time to quarantine and then make it to the U.S. for the Olympia.
So he couldn't. So he couldn't leave the UK for 2 weeks.
Right, or he couldn't at least come to he couldn't go directly to the U.S. That's the thing.
You go to Mexico and then come in.
I think he was actually with the Camel Crew, and then he flew into the UK. He thought he was going to be able to get in and get out of the UK without them actually realizing that he was in the UK or something like that. I don't. It was a weird plot he had to do. I don't think it was very well hatched. Look, he took the guaranteed money pretty much because I don't think everyone knew he was going to win Arnold's UK. I mean, he's the top ranked guy there. I mean, he's an Olympia guy. Samson Dauda looked great, but he just didn't have the firepower to beat Nathan. So maybe Nathan went for the sure money and figured, you know what, I'll do the Olympia next year.
Could have been could have been a strategy, But this whole virus bullshit. If they could at least just standardize it, but they can't even do that.
Because every country has its own cockamamie, rules.
Norway just threw it all away. They go, fuck it, we're not doing this shit anymore. And
they did?
Back to normal. Yep. And they just...
Well, you could go to Mexico. A lot of these guys are flying into Mexico, like Cancun. I know, like Wesley Vissers went to Cancun and hung out there for 2 weeks, and then just flew to the U.S. from there.
You can drive.
You can drive, right? In certain instances. I know a few people went to the Bahamas, right? I don't remember who told me they went there.
Well, there's all kinds of loopholes because this virus is cognitive powers. It'll attack
That's the stupid thing.
It'll attack you if you're standing up, but not if you're sitting down. If
right.
6 feet away is okay, but 3.5 feet is no good.
Right, but it's not. But it can't attack you if you're on an airplane 3 inches from somewhere.
Right.
It doesn't attack on the airplanes. Yeah.
But in the airport, before you get on the plane, you got to be 6 feet apart. But then you get on the airplane and you're 6 millimeters apart. Yeah.
Well, who was telling me? Was it Chris? Chris missed his connecting flight because some guy wouldn't put the mask on. And he carried on so long before, and then they were going to kick him off the plane. And then when they were about to kick him off, he decided to put it on. But he had wasted so much time that Chris missed the connecting flight.
Oh God! You're like this.
I would have beaten him to death. I would have beat. Me. I hate missing things and being delayed. I would have probably taken like a cheeseburger and just fucking hit him in the face until he was like knocked unconscious.
The best weapon in an airplane always is that flashlight they got hanging up on the wall. Oh, you could kill somebody with that thing.
That is a weapon. I didn't even think.
Oh my God! It's the first thing I look for. I go, where is that thing in case I need it?
I didn't even think about it.
When I get on a plane, I look for 3 weapons, 3 things I can use for weapons on a flight, just in case. There's always something you can grab if you know where. Because if it comes down to it, and you got to make that decision. You need to have that decision already made before it comes down to it.
Right. Someone just posted the prize money for the Arnold UK was 30,000 pounds. I don't know what the conversion is, but I imagine it's probably more. Pounds are probably worth more than dollars, I would imagine. So it's probably about 35, 40 grand, I would think, right?
I'll let you know in a minute.
Do the conversion.
What was it? Pounds to
dollars. Let me try to invite Chris back to the studio. I don't know where he is. Yeah, hold on.
British pounds, as they call it. British pound. And to how many British pounds?
30,000.
$40,000. 40,000.
How's that for Dave Palumbo estimate? That was pretty damn good. I pulled, right?
Almost 41. 40,846.
I'm pretty proud of myself. That was a
very good, Dave. Very good. Very good.
Well, you know what? He probably took the smart money then because that was a guarantee for him. And I don't blame him. If you have to pick one or the other, the Mr. Olympia is great. But if he would have placed 6th at the Olympia, what would he have gotten? He probably would have gotten, 20 grand, something like that? I don't even know.
But don't you think that's a crappy prize money for that level of show? Come on, 40 grand?
Well, it's the first year they're having it, though, John, too. And, so I think that you got to ease into it because you want to show people that you're going to be doing it yearly, and then you can get better sponsors. Arnold funded the Arnold USA out of his pocket this year. I mean, let's face it.
I mean, come on. What did he spend? $1 million?
So what? Who wants to spend any money out of your pocket? I mean, you do a show because you want to make money.
Yeah, but you got to look at it pragmatically. He's been making money hand over fist off of bodybuilding for 50 fucking years.
Right.
He's got $700 million. He can't take one brick out of the goddamn wall.
Well, he did. He did. That's exactly what he did.
A quarter of a brick out.
Yeah.
He didn't even take a whole brick out.
I heard also that him and Lorme are having problems, that they may not be partners next year.
Because Arnold's turning into a fucking whatever.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what went on. We don't know what the reason.
No, we don't. But I guarantee it's not Jim.
No. Well, Jim Lorme is not doing anything. It's Bob Lorme is who's running the show now, and maybe him and Arnold had a dispute. I don't know. I don't know all the details, but I hear that they're not going to be partners.
I'm sure Arnold wanted to bring his donkey to the show. And they wouldn't let him.
All I know is that Arnold's got the UK Arnold now. He's got the US. I don't know if they're going to be, remember they had all the shows. Obviously, Tony Doherty had the UK one with Arnold. I mean, the Australian Arnold, but they can't do that because there's no travel. Oh, Australia is like a real island. It has become a penal colony again.
It's back to where it started.
That's right.
Yep.
Right back where it started from.
Exactly. Australia. It's now back once again, a island prison.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this question, because you're into figuring stuff out. What do you think happened to Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook? Did someone hack the service, you think?
Who knows? No.
StreamYard, which we used for this, was down. Also, that's why we're starting late. It wasn't that I was just tardy. It was that I couldn't get the stuff to work.
It's the Chinese.
Blame the Chinese for everything.
You might as well.
I think COVID got into the computer systems. That's what I think.
You get these guys that are able to do this stuff, and the ones who, in my experience anyway, the ones who become very adept at this computer stuff are generally a little bit off in another area, but that's indicative of genius in any realm. I mean, anytime you get somebody that's extremely proficient, genius level at something, they're lacking somewhere else because the brain can't do it all. That's true. You get one of these guys that figures out, I can hack this system, and then they go ahead and do it because they can do it, or they might be famous for 15 minutes, or they know that they fucked up 80 million bodybuilders around the world that can't post pictures of their next meal. So, who knows why? Who does it? Why they do it? When it comes into when it's more than one platform like this, if it's Instagram, Facebook, StreamYard, if it's a bunch of them like that, then it's not, a ghost in the machine. It's actually somebody doing something. Why they do it is who knows.
You know why? Because they can.
Exactly. Because they can. They figured out how, and they can. Yeah. So they'll be able to have bragging rights over that. So.
All right, I want to put this up, John, because I think it's important. Samson Dauda, who was second at the Arnold behind Nathan De Asha, who we just showed. Who, by the way, Nathan De Asha is I would have loved to see him on the Olympia stage. I think he would have been top 6 too. But Samson Dauda did a very touching. I can't play the music because it's copyrighted, but did a very touching tribute to John Meadows. He actually had John Meadows' voice in the beginning.
Oh wow!
And then he did a really good posing routine. This is the routine right here to really honor the life and times of John Meadows. So
twisting back shot. You usually don't see that in old.
Yeah. Look at that. This guy's got a tremendous physique, and you know what? I think if he continues to improve and just tighten up his conditioning a little bit, he's going to be a guy we kind of see on the Olympia stage, battling on. He's had the worst luck with travel. Really? He went to Japan like twice last year trying to compete. He got stuck in the airport with all the COVID restrictions.
Japan, they'll make you stay in that airport for 2 months. They don't care. They go, yep, you're not leaving. You're not going back. You're not going in. You're not going anywhere. You're just staying in the airport.
Exactly. So anyway, I thought that was very touching, for him to honor John Meadows that way.
Really?
So,
he's a great poser, man.
Look at, he's like a very classic, it almost, my good friend Ralph Torelli said, and he reminded me, and it sounded like he's almost like a Vince Taylor, if you think. Yeah, then when Vince, before he would go into the robot routine, he would do like this very dramatic posing. He actually looks like Vince Taylor a little bit.
That's why I said it. Yeah.
I wonder if he took some of these moves from Vince Taylor, because it looks a lot very Vince Taylor-ish.
That the last transition he did down onto his knee is classic Vince.
Right. Yep. And and like I said, he's been getting better and better. So I look for Samson to be a force to be reckoned with next year. I'm really convinced.
No, he's a great bodybuilder. I'd like to see him. That's a Vince right there.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
With that, that lunging double. And I got news for you. These poses are not easy to do when you're freaking dehydrated, and you're trying to lunge on stage at 260 pounds or whatever you weigh.
There's a Vince shot.
Yeah. And he's even the way he's moving his head, to the music. Right?
Yep. That's cool.
Yeah, he looks just like Vince Tell right there. I mean,
that's there. Yep.
Right. So anyway, thank you, Samson, for doing that great routine.
That was awesome.
And he broke down at the end and was like crying. So great.
So
great
John
pose.
trained him? That was his deal?
I guess, yeah, I guess he was. Now, obviously, I want to also address, both our mutual friend, good friend, also. I say this every week, but every week someone dies, John. I think last week was the first week no one died.
Yeah, I know.
Bob Bonham, the former owner of Strong and Shapely Gym. We all know that gym. We've all been there. I know you've been there probably because that was like a stalwart of like hardcore, bodybuilding. Bob would hold something called
Strong and Shapely was the true first East Coast Mecca,
Yeah.
I know Bebs has that distinction, but he was first, and he had the Ronnie Coleman dumbbells in there. Remember the 250-pound dumbbells?
He made them just for Ronnie. Yeah.
Yeah, he made them for Ronnie. They were the only ones in existence. They were 250 pounds each, and it had Ronnie Coleman. On
when I was like 315 pounds, I tried to move those things, and I had trouble even back then.
They were freaking heavy, man.
I wanted a one-arm row them just so I could use. I used them, and I couldn't even do that. That's how
Ronnie was whapping out reps on the flat.
Ronnie was pressing those things.
Yeah, pressing them like no.
That's how crazy Ronnie was. Strength was. Let me see if I can pull this picture of Bob up here. Hold on a second. That's Bob, and that's Bob at the gym. A lot of people. I don't know if did you ask me how old Bob was?
Yeah, 70. What 70?
No. Chris thought he was like in his 40s. I said, Chris, I said he's 70 years old. I said, not that it makes it any better. Bob, had that full head of hair. He always had a very young look to him.
Yep.
Lonnie Teepa used to call him Bowser. You remember?
Bowser from Sean on Na.
Sean on Na. No one knows what we're talking about, John. Now we're really dating ourselves.
Yeah, that's way, way old.
Yeah,
but I feel really bad for that Bob is gone. But under the circumstances, knowing him the way we did, it's kind of like apropos that he would have chose his own exit.
Yeah, we're gonna do a full tribute show, John, tomorrow with Valentino, and Troy Moore is going to join us because he was Troy's best man at Troy's wedding.
Yeah,
and Troy actually introduced me to Bob back in the '90s.
But me too. It was that's how I met him too.
Oh, is it really? Yeah. Troy and I were training at the same gym together at World Gym Babylon, and Troy said, "Let's go to Bob Bonham's." I said, "Who's that?" So we drove there one Saturday morning, really early in the morning, and I met Bob, and Bob was like, "Come train, guys, anytime," and that was it. I was friends with Bob from that point on, and so
that was a great gym, man. That was a really. That's one of the ones that sticks out in my mind. Like, all the great gyms I've ever been to, that's one of them for sure.
If Lee's watching, Lee, I sent Lee the link in his email. Lee Priest, if you're up, click the link, join us. But, Bob Bonham, and I know I'm going to let Greg tell the story, but I'll just give you guys a brief what happened. Bob called up Greg a few days ago and told him that he was, he didn't want to live anymore, that he was going to, kill himself, essentially, commit suicide. And Greg tried to talk him out of it. Bob had been suffering from severe dementia. But Greg said he had such a moment of clarity when he called him, and he said, "Greg, I don't want you to be sad. I know we've been friends for years, and I love you, and I just am not happy. I don't want to be alive anymore. I think he was in like kidney failure too.
Yeah, didn't he need a transplant or something?
I think so. But he, the dementia was really bad, and when you can't think for yourself anymore, and there's no reason to live anymore at that point. Bob just felt like he was just existing, and that's not something he wanted to do. And I think I'm going to have Greg tell the story. I believe he attempted suicide like 2 weeks ago and like broke his neck or something like that, but just lived. And then they put him in, like, he was in a psychiatric ward, obviously, after trying to commit suicide. And somehow he managed to do it in there. And then you told me that that's how Shelley did it too, huh?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Under suicide watch. If your mind is made up, you're doing it. People have chewed their own tongue off to do it. I mean, if you have decided to do it, it's because the pain is too great in life for you to deal with it anymore, and you just got to turn it off. And I mean, Shelley tore her paper sheets into little teeny tiny strips and wove a rope out of it to hang herself on the freaking doorknob. I mean, if they take away all of your shit, you'll find something. Yeah, she did, and that's Bob did the same thing. So it's sad, but you know what? Rather than kind of think about why he died, let's just we should really celebrate his life. Bob was very good friends with two people in life: Steve Stone, who those of you who compete know, Steve was always backstage at all the shows expediting, and he was very close with Kenny Castle, who was like kind of one of he always was in announcing shows and doing emceeing jobs, and they promoted. Kenny and Bob promoted a show called the Women's Extravaganza, which I'm sure you've been to many times, John, where they would rent the Hilton Hotel out, like in Jersey, like a really fancy hotel. He put all the girls up there. It was only women in the show. Only women. It was an amateur, but they invited like 10 or 12 girls to be in this strength challenge. It was like different reps at different exercises. They had to hold the car battery out in front of them, like
this. They did curls and they did the squat of their body weight. It was like bros versus pros, basically. Like
remember Ray Hollett won it the one year.
Ray did it, I remember the one year that they weren't going to hold. Remember, they weren't going to hold the Miss Olympia one year. It was like no one wanted to promote it. And so they decided that Bob and Kenny said, we'll hold it at the Women's Extravaganza. So they held a pro show first for the women. Then they held the strength show. And then they did the Miss Olympia. And I'll never forget Yaxani Orquin did all three. She did the pro show. Then she did the strength challenge, all dehydrated, tanned up, sucked out. And then she did the Olympia. And I think she still plays top 5.
What year was that?
I can't remember what year it was.
It wasn't
It was the last year Kim Shizevsky won.
Ah, okay. So we're 90s. We're talking here.
We got to be 90s,
late 90s.
Yeah.
All right. If anybody knows, right?
Yeah, I can look it up, but it was the last year that I remember. Kim was huge. She was the biggest I'd ever seen. She wasn't like crazy shredded, but she was hard enough, to win. But she was the biggest I had seen her. I think she wanted to go out at her biggest, and she easily won.
She, just to go off on a tangent, she was one of the most amazing, transformative human beings I've ever seen in life. She went from being just the biggest, most shredded, veiny, rock hard, giant bodybuilder down to this just like demure woman who had kids. I mean, it was like a soccer mom.
Well, you forgot. No, but there was, remember, when she first started,
there was a figure fitness.
She did a fitness. She was top 5 at the Arnold like one year in fitness or something like that.
Right.
She lost like 50 pounds of muscle or something like that.
Incredible.
And learned to do a fitness routine.
Really incredible.
You know what? Kim was an athlete. That's why. So she was athletic. That's why it doesn't surprise me that her sons are like, football and one of them is squatting, 400 pounds at, fucking 12 years old.
12 years old.
They have the athletic genes in their family. And then they get the height from Chad, and
an amazing coach for a dad.
So. Yeah, right. He knows how to tell them to eat.
Yeah.
If only my kids would listen to me. We'll see when they get a little older.
That video of Logan reading. Oh my God! I was like, I watched.
That's the best of highlights. If he only listened to the teacher,
That's not going to happen. He's your son. He's not going to listen to the teacher.
No. I was actually very good at school, but he's got his own. He's like my father.
He's good. He's just got his own way of doing things.
Yeah, he's Sal. He's Sal.
Sure. He is Sal.
So he was on he's been doing MMA fighting. He does they do grappling, they do punching, stand up, striking.
Good.
He's been doing it for a couple months now, and so at first he thought it was like playtime, and then I keep telling him these kids want to knock you out. I said. He likes to get hit. It doesn't bother him, because these kids really can't hit that hard yet. And so for the first time at the last class, he I don't know where these skills come because he won't listen to anything I tell him to do. He only listens to the instructors, and I don't even know if he's paying attention half the time. And he hit this kid with a shot, I don't think the kid expected because usually he's goofing around in there. And he made the kid cry. And I've been saying to him, man, I said, if he ever hits these kids with any shots, he's going to hurt these guys. I said, because he hits me and hurts me. When he hits me, it actually hurts. And I'm like, there's no way a young kid who's 6 years old, he's 5, but he's with the 6-year-olds, are going to be able to take a shot like that. And I think he finally is coming into his own as a fighter now. So
good.
Hopefully he doesn't beat me up. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't beat me up at some point.
That's largely up to you. But
exactly.
Don't let him quit.
No.
The best thing for him, man. It really. I got a kid now I'm working with, an overweight young kid. And the first thing I told his parents, you got to get him into martial arts immediately.
He's petrified of the instructors too, which is great.
That's what you want. You want him petrified, and you want an old school instructor, push-ups on your knuckles, yelling at you.
Absolutely. This guy is military. He trains the cops. He's military.
That's what that is. That is what you need. That if every boy in America went through 4 years of that when they were like 12 to 16, we would have no problems in this world.
Right. Well, I figured if I get him started at 5, by the time he's 12, he'll be like an assassin by then.
Yeah, no, you want that. He's got an alternate career path automatically.
As long as he, what I want him to do is I want him to have discipline, and I probably was the same way when I was a kid. I listened. My son listens in school. He doesn't he's afraid of the teachers and stuff like that. That's how I was. But then I would go home and act like a lunatic.
Right.
Except the difference between, my son and me is that my father and my mother would smack me. We got spanked and stuff like that if we didn't listen. We don't hit kids anymore, unfortunately. If I smack my kid, he laughs. He's like, that didn't hurt.
Another failing of modern times. The thing is, I was petrified of my father. Absolutely.
I know, me too.
Shaking my shoes, petrified of him. I loved him to death. He loved me, but I was scared to death of him. And when my mother would utter those words, wait till your father comes home. I'm going to tell your father when he comes home.
Yeah. That
changed the course of the entire day, because for the rest of the day, my mission was to get her not to do that.
Right. Look, I love the comments, John. This guy says Dave thinks he has hair. No, I don't think I have any hair. You're completely wrong. Freddie. I don't think I have hair.
Freddie thinks he has.
I say prayers, but people say you should talk to God and you should talk to the angels and you should, all I say is, God, please, can you give me some hair? And I don't think God thinks it's a priority.
Dave, I got to tell you, the greatest moment of freedom next to getting out of prison I ever had in my life was shaving my head.
Yeah, but you got a small head. I have like a murderer's head. I'll look like a killer.
Well, you can just say you're very smart. You have a large brain.
Yeah. All right, Lee, if you come back in 10 minutes, we'll still be on. I'm sure John and I will be. We haven't even got to talking about the Olympia yet because I'm waiting for you to come on. Yeah. So that's that. But, getting back to Bob, it's sad, but in a way, he was 71. So I think what we should do is, so many people knew him. We got to celebrate his life and just celebrate all the great stuff that he's done and contributions to the sport. He used to hold that Natural Eastern Classic every year. They gave out the biggest trophy I've ever seen. When I was with my ex, Barbara, she had won the overall there at the Natural Eastern Classic. And the trophy, seriously, John, it had to be like 10 feet tall. I'm like, how the fuck are we going to get this thing home?
I know. They don't think of that. They think they're going to give away this giant trophy. Then does it come apart? I mean, how do you?
I took it apart. I took it apart the best I could. And of course, when I put it back together, when I got to because I was living in my dad's house at the time, and my father had these high cathedral ceilings in his house. If you're ever, I don't know if you were ever there.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh yeah. So Barbara's house, they had very regular size ceilings. She couldn't keep it there, so we put it in my father's house. It was it looked like a museum piece. This thing, it was so tall that when we cleaned out my dad's house, when he moved to Florida and we sold the house, that thing was still there. There was the layer of dust that was on that thing was about 6 inches deep.
You mean Spain?
But it was the biggest trophy. Everyone knew Bob gave the biggest trophy out.
However impractical it may have been, it was
but it was cool because back in the day, for some reason, trophies were like the cool thing. Now I think it's medals, right? Everyone they give medals to everyone now, which I think is cooler because you can kind of hang that in a frame.
You can hang them. Yeah. You don't need a trophy. You don't need a metal case.
I threw all my trophies out. I only kept one.
Which one?
I think I kept like a second place USA or something like that, or something like that. I don't know. One of my higher placing ones. I don't know if I kept the junior nationals one. I might have kept that one, but I threw the rest of them out. I'm like, I don't need these to validate me, But when I remember when I was competing, the first trophy I won was like, you would have thought that I won the lottery ticket. I mean, it was so exciting to win your first trophy, right?
I remember the first trophy I won. It was in karate. I won that trophy, and it was, man, that was the big, because it ended a stigma I carried with me for years from the figure skating debacle with my sister, because we were both skating, and my sister won the trophy. She won, and I got nothing. And how did she win? I'm older than her. I'm better than her. And
of course.
And the pro, they got your picture in the newspaper and everything. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so I quit skating that day. So are you texting Lee? Is he coming?
Yeah, Lee's just dropping his wife off first. But did you see this? Clint Eastwood won some kind of $6.1 million lawsuit against some kind of CBD retailers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
For what? Using his image?
I think so. Yeah.
Huh.
That's weird. He sued.
I thought it was going to be some liberal news source.
It's always the rich always get richer. That's what I always say. But
they do. The rich get richer, usually off the backs off the poor. But
why is this guy writing that the Joe Rogan died? That's bullshit. We have the craziest people in these chats.
I know.
Is Big Lenny in jail? I don't know. If Big Lenny's in jail. All right, let's when Leo get in.
Somebody just said Joe Rogan died.
Yeah, we have a bunch of like morons in the chat sometimes, but all right, let's talk about this Olympia, John, because Big Ramy has been kind of very, very low key. He's been training obviously with Dennis James the last couple of weeks. We haven't really seen many shots of him, but obviously by looking at his face, Ramy always had that big, like Santa Claus face, big chubby cheeks.
Right.
Last year was the first time we saw that sucked out face, and I had a feeling that was going to mean that he was going to be in shape. And this year, he looks like a refugee, which is exactly the way you're supposed to look a week out from the Olympia.
Exactly.
So I have to imagine that he's.
I'm sorry.
No, again.
My question is, what transpired within the ranks of the so-called Camel Crew? Is that derogatory? Do they take offense to that?
No, they like Camel Crew now.
Okay.
They like it.
So I don't want to. Obviously, I don't want to offend anybody. I like those guys. Yeah. If the Camel Crew prior to last year was doing all kinds of shit that was allegedly doing all kinds of stuff that fuck up Ramy, like the bags of fruit before the carb up, and remember all that stuff that was going on? Do this, do that, don't do this. He was listening to 7 different people. What happened within the ranks of the Camel Crew that has really brought Ramy to his potential? I mean,
he left the Camel Crew. That's what.
I thought he was still with them.
No, he's with Chad Nichols. Chad Nichols has been doing his diet. And then Chad brings him in, like early, and Dennis James like babysits him the last 3 weeks, and trains with him and makes sure he doesn't cheat and
makes him
focus. Because Ramy, I don't think Ramy ever had, let me explain something. It's not really Ramy's fault. When you're so genetically gifted, and I put Flex Wheeler into that same category, that things come so easy to you and that you could win shows at like 90% of your best. I mean, what's the impetus to want to go that extra, 10% and suffer like a dog? There is none, right? So I don't think Ramy ever knew what it was like to suffer. And the Camel Crew was obsessed with him coming in at over 300 pounds, which we know he doesn't need to do at his height. He's not 6'5". He's 5'11". So I think they weren't bringing him down enough. And then Ramy, when he was trying to do it himself and working with other people, everyone was so scared to bring him up under 300 that no one ever got him in shape. You know, the one year Chris Aceto brought him down like to the 280s. He looked really good, but he was a little flat for prejudging. He looked great at the night show. And then he went on to win like the Arnold UK, Arnold Spain. But I think that for some reason he got talked out of staying with Chris. And Chris and Chad kind of are the same mindset in the sense of get the guy in shape. So when he started working with Chad, I think Chad had some problems initially, you know, figuring out what was going on. And what the problem was, I'm sure Chad was telling him the right thing, but I don't think Ramy was listening. Once they got Ramy in, because, you know, the last 3 weeks is the hardest, John. So once they got Ramy to stay with Dennis, and then now Chad has someone he can call up and say, hey, is Ramy sticking to the diet? You know, that's why Ramy got in shape last year, because
because Dennis makes him pose.
Well, I don't think it's the pose. I think it was the diet. I think Ramy was eating extra food, whether it was being told to him to do that or not. Well, I think he was afraid to go into that, what I call that, like feeling like you're going to die, right? Because who wants to feel like that?
No, it's a terrible.
You got to be a nutcase like, you know, me and other guys that like to suffer like that. Ramy didn't want to suffer.
No.
But when Dennis, you know, because he almost quit. He almost quit like when last year on Chad, and Chad had to have a talk with him. Chad's gone online and told this story before.
Yeah.
He said, Ramy, this is the way you have to suffer, you know. And so Ramy did it, and obviously it worked out, and he got in the best shape of his life. And so I think now Ramy knows the process. It's not so intimidating, so they can duplicate it again. That's why I think I don't think anyone's gonna beat Ramy, because Ramy's gonna come in shape, and with that size he's got over everyone else, I mean, how can anyone match him?
I have always said, and you know this, that if he ever gets it together, he can be Mr. Olympia for as long as he wants.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. And no one can if he is 150%, no one can touch him.
Yeah. And you know, it's not like the guy has got too many flaws either. You know,
no.
Are there guys with smaller waists and maybe better structures? Yeah, but his mass, okay, is just incredible. I mean,
insane.
Who can match his legs, and who can match the back double body? You know, it's like he's just got too many weapons in his arsenal. And if he's in shape and he's, you know, bringing that conditioning, then you know no one beats him. It's like, you know, when we talk about Ronnie Coleman 2003, a lot of people, I felt that was his freakiest that he looked. I liked that look. I know a lot of guys like 98, 99 the best because he was a little more streamlined. But I liked the fact that he was like a cartoon character because he was shredded to the bone too. It wasn't like the guy was just too big and wasn't like lean. He was as lean as he was at 190 when he was in 98, 99. He just was like 30 pounds bigger.
Right.
And
then he did it 1 year, 47 pounds in 1 year.
Yeah, even though aesthetically it might have not have been as nice as it was in 98, 99. To me, that's as bodybuilders, we want to get mind-bogglingly crazy, massively big, and he did have symmetry at that weight. He just was freaky big, you know. And I think Ramy is in that league of freaky big, you know. Maybe not as good as Coleman structurally, but just, you know, massive. You know.
Would you like to see a 100% Ramy against 100% Coleman?
Oh, that would be like a dream matchup, right?
That would be insane.
That would have been, you know, but I think Coleman would have beat him because the glutes and hamstrings and the lower back striations. Just Ramy doesn't have that crazy detail.
No,
but mass wise, they would match each other.
Yeah, yeah, it would be a mass show for sure.
You know, there's no doubt that the two of them could stand next to each other and battle. You know, you know, and that would have been a good matchup too because of the fact that they do match up so well. This Olympia is going to be Ramy, and then you're going to have like, you know, Hadi Chupin, who's a lot shorter than Ramy. You're going to have Bonak, who's a lot shorter than Ramy. You're going to have a Nick Walker, who's a lot shorter than Ramy. You know, you're going to have Brandon Curry, who's got the beautiful shape, but whose legs are way below, you know, Ramy. Now, granted, he flows well, but, you know, how do you, if Ramy's Mr. Olympia, how do you say Curry beats him? You can't because unless Ramy's off, because that's the standard right now, right?
That's why I hate having these discussions before the Olympias because nobody knows, you know? I mean, yeah, Ramy could come in completely off and take fifth, you know? But
look who it is.
Hey,
Look at
it's
the cat
Lee.
drag thing.
Good morning.
Lee's
Good morning.
waking up early.
Look at his
Oh,
title,
fucking-
not Mr. Olympia.
It's really like 3 a.m. because of daylight savings. I've got my nice shirt on today too, by the way.
Cops
Cops
yeah,
over
there
criminals,
you go.
yes.
It's a good one.
I thought you guys don't
You're
have
welcome.
daylight savings anymore.
Of course we do. We're as dumb as you Americans.
Didn't they want to do
Course.
away with? I'll tell you what's dumb. In the U.S., some states wanted to do away with it, and others didn't, which is ridiculous. Because if Florida has no daylight savings, but yet like North Carolina does or South Carolina, we're on the same time zone. It would be ridiculous. We'd have different times in the same time zone.
When I lived in Puerto Vallarta, the next town up was in another time zone. So anytime I would make plans with friends, would always be like, "Who's 2 o'clock? Your 2 o'clock or my 2 o'clock?"
Right,
Lee and I do the same thing. Your
What-
Thursday or my Thursday?
Well, that's the same here. Where I live in New South Wales, Queensland above us doesn't have it. And you have the border there, Coolangatta at Tweed. Some people live in New South Wales. They drive 5 minutes across the border to go to work. So they're gaining an hour, losing an hour, gaining an hour, losing an hour.
Oh, what a pain in the ass that is.
So anyway,
When
we're
you're talking about the camel crew, who's that guy who's the trainer of the camel crew? Is it the Arnold Classic? And he had like the big cop glasses on. He looked like he was like an Instagram model.
Who?
It seemed like he was wanted to be more famous than the bodybuilder. It looked like he was doing an ad for Versace in every fucking photo he put up. He's standing there with his tight t-shirts on, his glasses on. He looked like Ziz from back in the old days.
Ironically, William Bonac is now with the Camel Crew. So
Oh, is he?
yeah, he's with them. And
I'm going to
they
start
got
the
Brandon.
Kangaroo Crew.
They got Brandon. Beta Badai gave me some Camel Crew shirts. Going back a number of years ago, I still wear them, and it says it's a camel. It says Camel Crew. People think I'm like advertising cigarettes if I wear them to the gym. They're like, "What are you wearing a cigarette shirt?" I'm like, "That's not cigarettes. It's the Camel Crew. It's a bodybuilding group out in Kuwait."
People said people are talking smack. Look, people are always talking smack in here, and all I have to say is, if you're on YouTube talking smack, get a fucking life, because you have no fucking life. Jesus Christ. If that's the best you can do today, what, you run out of lube, you can't pull your cock, you got to come on here and fucking talk shit. Fucking hell.
Thank God YouTube's working today.
Give it a quick pull. Mum's coming home soon. Clean up the mess.
Ron Norman texted John and I earlier and said the zombie apocalypse is coming because all the social media was down.
I know.
People must be
Thank
committing
God,
suicide,
Millennial suicide watch.
Yeah.
Well, thank God someone said the Instagram was down. I tried to get on Instagram and thought, oh, fuck, I've been banned again. So thank God, everyone.
I thought, I couldn't do the show. I thought I couldn't figure out what was going on. Every site I went on was down. I thought my internet was down, but it was just this only sites I was checking was StreamYard, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, and they were all down for a while. Thank God StreamYard came up.
Good.
But we're so dependent. I couldn't even talk to my client. Usually I can call Japan in 3 seconds with WhatsApp, right? Or Facebook, and I couldn't get in contact with anyone. WhatsApp was down too.
Isn't it sad though when people panic when they can't get on Facebook and Instagram? It shows you really how pathetic their lives are.
People don't know what to do.
They're like, how can
I could give him some ideas, but in respect to Bob Bonham passing, I won't put the ideas out there.
Yeah, it's got to be a terrible thing to face an entire day without being able to show the world what you're eating.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything. But you ever watch it even when you get on a plane or get off a plane? As soon as that plane lands, all you hear is ding, ding. Everyone turns their phone on, and you just look across, and everyone's like scrolling. What the hell did I miss? That was an hour flight. What the fuck happened in that hour that I was gone? It's like crazy.
When I went to Australia the last time, it was the most liberating 24 hours of my life, because I didn't turn the phone on at one time because I couldn't use it. It was like, oh my God, this feels so good. All I did was sit and I would watch a movie. I'd eat some food. I'd pop a half a Xanax and go to sleep for 6 hours. I'd wake up. I'd eat a meal. I'd watch a movie.
By the time you got to Australia, you had crocheted some socks, didn't you? I know.
Yeah.
Sat on the plane.
I slept about 18 hours, all combined, when I told it up.
That was the thing I hated about flying to Egypt, New York to Cairo, nonstop. is they shut the shades, so it's 14-hour flight, dark the whole time. So whatever it is, you leave when it's dark. You wait; it's dark the whole time. You get there and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't remember.
It's amazing, John. That's like the greatest.
But I get that little map on the TV, and it shows where the plane is, going around
and
the world.
It's not moving. It's just like this.
And everyone's like, I can't wait till we get there. I'm like, I wish we had another 6 hours on this plane. This is the best sleep I've gotten.
I'm the exact. I opened my eyes and the plane only moved that far.
I'm telling you, you got to go with Xanax, and you just keep popping them every time they wear off. You put another one in your mouth.
Well, Dave. Come live in Australia, Dave. It takes you 36 hours to get to Brazil. If I go to England, which I've got to go next month, it'll take me 4 hours to get to Perth. And then from Perth to London, 17 and a half hours nonstop.
And you only need to get 16 booster shots to leave Australia. Yeah.
And special papers to get out,
How do you get? And how long do you have to quarantine when you get back? 2 weeks, right?
Actually, they're going to change it now where you do that home quarantine, and home quarantine might only be 7 days, but you got to get the government app on your phone. So what happens is you got to go home, you get the government app, and then every day for 7 days, the government gives you a random phone call 3 times a day. You got to answer the phone. It does facial recognition and gives them your GPS location.
And this is this is for vaccinated people.
Right. This is you can't even leave if you're not vaccinated.
If you're not vaccinated, you just got to live in your coffin.
No, if you're unvaccinated, you get a yellow star and a tattoo on your wrist.
It's like the Scarlet Letter. Remember?
Yes.
So wear a big V on your shirt that's saying you're vaccinated.
That's crazy.
All right, let's get back to the Olympia again. So we're talking about Big Ramy. What? Lee, since we got you here, if you're evaluating the Olympia, assuming that Ramy's in shape, is there any way anyone can beat this guy?
Don't think so. No. If he comes in shape, if you're a Mr. Olympia, you've sort of got that, that drive going into it. You've already got that foot up going in. He'd have to be really off, even if.
Well, Brandon was Mr. Olympia last year, and he came back and he was his best, and he still got beat. But I think Ramy is bigger than life.
He was bigger at his but we always said Ramy at his very best, he'd be hard to beat, even if all those guys were on it. We always said that over the years. That's why people used to get annoyed, and people thought everyone was bashing Ramy, but everyone was just so, I think, upset every year because every year, because everybody knew Ramy could do it if he hit his peak, and that's what people wanted to see. And every time he didn't do it, people were like, "Oh fuck, he didn't do it again." Everyone's like, "Oh, why are you bashing him?" It's like no one's bashing him because people wanted to see him win it. And actually, looking at the photos now, looking from the training pictures and how his face is, if he stays on point now, I think he's going to win it again. But I hate to see it sometimes when you see their face so drawn now, but then at the press conference there, you're like, what happened? What happened? He's going the wrong way. So I think they might know now not to do anything crazy. If he's looking good, don't fuck with it. The last week, why they got to play hocus pocus and do all this crazy shit? Because why can't people realize your body's that fine-tuned machine? If you're dieting 16 weeks and 15 of those weeks, you've been doing cardio at the same time, you train at the same time, you're eating the same foods, you're using pretty much the same supplements and shit. But then that last week you go, let's stop cardio, let's stop the training, let's add this food in, let's add these drugs in. So in that last week, you change your whole body's chemistry, you've changed your whole routine. Your body reacts because it's so fine-tuned at that point. Any little thing you do is going to make it react. And they do some silly things that last week. That's why we see people go from looking fantastic to looking, what the fuck happened on the day of the show?
Yeah. What do we have like a consensus that Hadi Choopan is the second guy out there, or do we think that Brandon Curry is going to be the second guy out there?
Hadi looks great, and his conditioning is always on point, but with the new guys coming in now, it's hard to say. It's hard to say until we see all the others up against him. Even like Brandon's looking a bit bigger. So if he comes back in better shape, Hadi is definitely a shoo-in for second. And people say he could probably push it for first if Ramy's a little bit off. But until we see all the new guard now come in and stand up there, it's still hard to say. It's like the Arnold Classic, isn't it? Everyone was guessing who was going to get where and this and that. But
is he still suing us?
I don't know. He's going to have to line up, John. There's a very long line of people.
Long and distinguished.
Yes, exactly.
We don't just get we just don't get sued by Bob from down the road or something.
You got to take your turn.
Elite athletes.
Yeah, you got to be very elite to sue us.
Yeah.
We don't just allow anyone to sue us. Yeah, exactly.
No, not just anyone.
Brandon Curry, can Brandon Curry come back and be a force to be reckoned with? He was actually, we keep forgetting he was second last year.
I think he can.
I love the guy. I really do. I think he's a great ambassador. He's good for the sport. His legs, though, man, in this day, in this era, and it's only a couple of years later, it's just gotten so much thicker, man. He just can't hang with these guys in the especially hamstrings, glutes, calves, low back. I just don't think.
And it's funny because you do see Brandon in person. He has great legs. It's just that, when you stand there, it's like having a bodybuilder back in the 80s with great legs stand near Tom Platz. You're like, right. His legs look shit. But take Tom out of the picture, the guy's got great legs. Brandon has great legs, yes. But when you get him beside Ramy or someone, then it's like, it's like,
Exactly.
It's like the old saying, John, when they say bodybuilders have small dicks. It's like, no, it's just that we have big quads. It makes it look small. That's all the illusion.
What do you guys think? If Shawn Rhoden was in this show, which he's not, obviously, given his structure, his beautiful structure, like Brandon Curry, except he does have legs, really good legs. How would Curry do against? I mean, how would Shawn Rhoden do against the big Ramy? Does Ramy have too many weapons at this point, or does Rhoden, will he exploit Ramy's structural flaws and be able to beat a guy like him if he was in this lineup?
Yeah, that'll have to come down to what the judges look for, because they're both fantastic athletes, and one's like a mass monster. Shawn has mass and, like I said, more symmetry and stuff. So that'll have to come down to what the judges want on the day, what look they're going for, because it'd be hard to pick.
I think it's one of the great travesties of our sport that we have lost Shawn Rhoden these last 3 Olympias.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
Terrible. And the really fucked up part is that people forget. So there is no. I'd be willing to bet if you ask 10 bodybuilding fans, the fans of the fans, if you can picture Shawn Rhoden in your mind against a big Ramy, a Hadi Chupin, even Brandon Curry, and I'll bet most of them say no, I can't, I can't remember. So that's a huge issue, because the guy was at the peak. I mean, at the beginning of his Olympia reign.
Even though he was 44, he was at the peak. And you know what? Is his window, has his window passed? I mean, is it too late for Shawn Rhoden, even if he somehow were to maybe for next year, be available?
It's hard to say. He might be like Dexter. He might have that longevity and still get out there to 50. The hardest thing is like being out of that competition for those years, because you can still train hard, but training hard just to keep your size and train hard, totally different to that drive you have preparing for contests and that type of mentality. So, but I think, it's just, as I said, it's going to come down to him and his mental state and the drive he has. He might, be able to turn it straight back on and get back in where he left. So,
someone is asking about what's going on with Aaron Singerman. I think his trial is in 2 weeks, right?
I thought it was September. It was supposed to.
No, it's October. I think it's the 17th or something like that.
Is he actually going to trial, or is he just
going to trial? So far, they're going to trial. So we'll have to see what happens.
What date's the trial? And
they have 16 counts, right?
18
counts.
Criminal.
I can just see it now. When the verdict comes down guilty, the TV screen's going to flick on in the courtroom, and there's Arnold. Screw your freedom.
Arnold is very vindictive like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised either. But you know what, Aaron?
Arnold knows the judge. Hello.
Aaron, but you know what? Aaron was a soldier. He would take it for that reason.
Well, you know what? The PJ and him are, I guess, being tried for pretty much the same crime. So we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to cover the trial, maybe.
So now, have they been separated?
No, they're in the same thing, being tried together, I think.
Oh,
so I know that another one of their co-defendants took a plea just last week, I think.
So he's going to, if he took a plea, then he's testifying against them.
Yeah, and we know DiMaggio took a plea. Who's the owner of Iron Mag Labs and was their co-partner, and so that's going to work against them. So
why would if you talked to him, why wouldn't he take a deal? I mean, if you lose a trial, you are fucked.
John, I think it amounts to the fact that I think all deals that are being offered involve jail time. So I guess they think maybe they could do better in trial. I wouldn't go to trial, but I don't know. Maybe they have something. Maybe they have a good case. I don't.
Maybe it could be a marketing thing, because if Aaron and PJ both go to jail, they can be cellmates, and then say they do 5 years, they get out. Whole new range of products, for your vitamin C. Cell block C, cell block B. We've got weight room training.
Weight pile.
Look, I hope that the companies are set up. I hope the companies are set up so they can run themselves if they do have to do any time.
Well, isn't that why Aaron took on the investment banker or whatever he is?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, I don't really talk to them about business like that. So I haven't really spoken to them much at all. So I don't know what the whole strategy is, but that it is taking place. For those of you who've been asking, it's taking place.
You know what? I am really miffed at why he wouldn't. I know if a deal is going to take jail time. Look, the Fed. You know this as well as I do, Dave. The Feds don't lose. If they do, it's really rare, and they don't come after you unless they know they got a slam dunk. That's why they got a 98% conviction ratio.
Right.
So, I mean, most. Yep. Exactly.
Maybe they'll take a last minute. Maybe they'll take a last minute deal. It's possible.
They can do that sitting right there in the courtroom, but I mean, it doesn't bode well.
No.
Who's going to drive the Rolls Royce?
You. I heard they're sending it over to Australia for you.
Aaron and I are like that.
All right, let's get back to the Olympia. All right, we'll keep you guys updated on when the Aaron Singerman trial starts. But Nick Walker, Arnold Classic champion, ton of momentum going into this Olympia. A lot of people, love him, hate him. For some reason, Robbie Robinson really is been very critical.
Don't bring that up.
Robbie Robinson is very, very critical of Nick Walker. I don't know why he doesn't like Nick Walker's physique. I think he doesn't like the freaky, massive,
But that's Nick Walker in that picture.
Yeah, I don't know if this is recent. I just pulled. I can't go on Instagram because Instagram is down, John.
Possibly him.
That's him.
He's got his head shaved there. That's like an older one. Yeah.
That's an older picture. Yeah.
I
can't get on Instagram, John. I can't get any pictures.
Oh, his waist
is
Google. Really small there.
His waist is, I think, looking just the same now because he's brought it down and brought everything else up. But I think Nick will, Robbie. But the thing is, everyone's coming down on Robbie. Robbie just said he doesn't like the look of him and it's unhealthy. I said, well, people like old classic cars. I don't. I like new cars. Robbie just gave his opinion. People are blasting Robbie on his page saying you're not relevant anymore. But I'm like, he is. You've got like 1,000 comments. You're keeping him relevant. So keep on posting.
You know what, Rob? Let me tell you something about Robbie. Is at that age, he's in his 70s, where he's. I call it old man. When I'm 70, I'll admit I'm an old man too. Old man. Old guys don't give a fuck about what they say. They just fucking say because they're at the age with. You know what? Who fucking cares? I'm going to be dead soon.
You've earned it. I can't wait till I'm there.
Arnold is there too. That's why Arnold was so critical on the webcast. He doesn't care what people think anymore.
And what's anybody going to do to you? I mean,
Arnold's got $100 million in the bank. He doesn't give a shit about what anyone thinks about him. And Robbie has never cared about what people think about him. So
that's why people always said, since I was 20, I'm an old soul. From the age of 20, people say you're an old soul. Now I know why, because I just say what the fuck I want.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Maybe you're really like 100 years old. We don't even know.
I would agree with that.
I'm like Noah or someone, Methuselah.
You remember you ever see that movie, The Highlander?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
can be only one.
Lee. He just keeps transitioning from life to life. We could trace him back probably to the 1600s,
Yeah.
The Salem witch trials.
When we built those pyramids, I'll tell you how we did it. Okay? Get Jimmy on. The big people with the wings had nothing to do with it.
That's right. Actually, tomorrow is. we got so many great topics for After Hours. Tomorrow we're supposed to do the tribute to Bob Bonham, but we also have supposedly I got a SpaceX engineer coming on that Tyler's friends with, who's supposed to debate Jimmy the Bull on the flat Earth.
Oh my God, Jimmy! If anyone can convert someone, by the time that SpaceX guy's left, he's going to go back to Elon Musk and say, "You're full of shit, mate." Listen, I just spoke to Jimmy. You're full of shit.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
right.
spoke to Jimmy, and he's got a flashlight, and that's shown right on the Earth. And
The problem with me is when Jimmy starts with the theories, I don't really know even how to argue with him because he watches the YouTube videos constantly. This guy is freaking works at sending rockets into fucking orbit. So let him argue with Jimmy.
But you can't because Jimmy is so far off. I mean, you can argue with somebody if you're a little off, between the two. But he's so far out there, and what he believes is the truth is just so wrong. And it's so wrong on a very basic level that like you can't even. Where do you start? I mean, I'm
getting my diagram today. I think he's drawn up for me of the
Lee and Jimmy are best friends now, John. Did you know that?
We're like lifelong mates that we've been kids from school. Yeah, but now I'm getting the diagram of why it's summer here now and winter over there. He's going to explain it all to me, how the seasons.
He likes Lee because Lee actually listens to what he's saying, John. That's why he likes Lee.
Because Lee is literally down under,
That's
so
right.
it's proof.
Jimmy's like, what angle is the sun at right now, Lee? And Lee's like, it's 35 degrees. He's like, Jimmy's like doing like studies. Like
he's got one of those old things. Remember the old telescope that look through the people in the like commander and captain of the ships, they'd have the thing and they'd put it along, move it along to see the degrees of where it was and the stars were. And
they want to know when we're getting Andrew Cuomo on the show, John.
Yeah, Dave,
can you pull that one off?
We should get Chris Cuomo on the show.
When are you getting
Dave, back to the Olympia, will you? Back to the Olympia.
All right, let's get back to the Olympia. All right, I want to talk about William Bonac.
What was that guy's name? Binks Cat?
William Bonac is got to be, in my mind, I think he's one of the most dangerous guys. I'm going to tell you for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's placed second at the Olympia before. Okay, he's won the Arnold twice. Putting that aside, he was supposed to do the Arnold this year, and he wasn't able to travel. So I know Bonac. He's probably fuming. He probably can't wait to get on that Olympia stage. This guy is hungry. He's super dangerous. He has no gaps in his physique. I think that he's going to be one of the sleepers in this lineup here, and I think he's going to be very dangerous. He might be the second place guy solidly, and he might challenge Ramy because he's got bells and whistles to his physique from behind that like a lot of guys just don't have.
I think he's one of the most lethal competitors going today.
I have him a solid top 3 for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, Hadi should be very worried about him.
I don't think Hadi can beat him, to be honest with you, but I think it's going to be a good matchup though with those two guys because height-wise, they're kind of closer to each other.
Look at his shoulders compared to the Hadi's.
He has the roundness of like a Flex Wheeler with on like a smaller frame. It's weird, but he's got a small waist too.
He is just blessed genetically, unbelievably.
Yeah. We got
I think people in the chat say top 3, some say top 5. Yeah. I think they said this year too, because last year he had that like problem with his legs, injury with his legs, and they reckon this year he's brought them back up to where they were before. So I think because he didn't do the Arnold now, everyone sort of just pushed him aside, like, it's Ian, Nick, and this and that. But I think when he gets on stage, people are going to go, oh shit.
Yeah, we didn't think about him. And then they're going to be, now we got to recalculate.
If you count out Bonac, you're crazy. I remember one year when it was at the Prague Pro Show, if you guys remember. I think that year I skipped. I think who was there?
I thought you were there with Singerman.
I think that year I sent Aaron with. For some reason I couldn't go. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I tore my quad that year. I sent Aaron with it was Chris Aceto.
Yep.
And they were sitting eating, I think with Dexter. And Bonac came over and was like, "I'm going to beat you. You'll never beat me again," or something like that. And Dexter was, Dexter, the last guy you want to get in a shit, a shit match with. It's him. And Dexter mopped up the floor with him. He goes, "You'll never be. I'll always be Mr. Olympia. You'll never be Mr. Olympia." They were arguing each other. And man, Bonac fucking delivered. A couple years later, he beat Dexter, and he really, delivered on what he promised. I have to say,
he is a lethal competitor, and anybody that thinks that he's not is going to be sorry.
I think he's very, very dangerous.
Very dangerous.
I think the Olympia is going to be pretty much like the Arnold. We know who's in it. We're hoping whoever comes in condition. But to predict it this year, like we said, if Ramy comes in on, he'd be hard to beat. So let's just say Ramy's number one. From second down to the top six, it could be anyone's in that order.
Difficult to judge because you'll be splitting hairs the whole way.
I think someone put Nick in second. As great as Nick is, I don't think Nick will get second with Hardy and Bonac and them at their best. Nick looks great, but I still think maybe the following year, I think Nick's a contender to win the Olympia, but I just think with Hardy in that there, that's a lot to push off in your first year, coming in.
Ian Valliere, 2 wins this year, second place at the Arnold. He's got a ton of momentum.
I definitely, what did he get, 7th last year, maybe 6th this year, but he's still got a few good guys ahead of him, and he looked great at the Arnold, but I don't think that was the best I've seen him at the Arnold. But
but maybe in Texas he might have been the best. He was when he beat Kukla.
Well, let's just go Ramy in no order. Let's just go Ramy, Hardy, Bonac,
Brandon,
Nick. So maybe 6 or 7.
And we're not even talking about Akeem now because Akeem obviously didn't do well at the Arnold. Yeah. He could come in here and certainly do damage as well.
No, I could see Ian somewhere. If others are off, or if everyone's on, maybe around the 6th and 7th that he got last. And we're leaving out Hunter too. Look how good Hunter's looking.
I was coming to him next. Yeah, I was coming to him next.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a tough show. There's a lot of good talent in this, and we're not even getting Steve Kukla or Sergio in the show because they didn't qualify. So I mean,
someone said James too. James Hollinghead's looking good. I could see James in the top 6 if So.
Well, I think he'll be a solid top 10 for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, definitely. But to me, the improvements he's made, he's almost looking like that because he's that English. It looks like that dry changes that Dorian made that year. James is looking pretty thick and dry and solid, and so I wouldn't count James out either for pushing a few of these.
Yeah,
I think
that James structurally is going to have a problem, and that at the Olympia, the freaks always. Who don't have quite the structure that they need to, sometimes have trouble placing well. But I think James can win shows during the year. He's already proven that. I think that if I were him, especially with all the mass he has now, I'd be competing like 3 to 5 times a year. Win shows, make money, get more popular, because that's how he's going to make money. He's not going to be Mr. Olympia, let's face it, okay? But he can make a very, very good living. Think Branch Warren. Branch Warren won the Arnold Classic, twice. Mm-hmm. And he made oodles of money in this industry because he was the people's champ, and that's James has got to play that card,
But I think James is a little bit more symmetrical than Branch and that. So people probably thought that about Dorian. He'll never be Mr. Olympia. And boom.
I think, but no, Dorian was always like the heir apparent. I think he was.
People said that about me, Dave. Lee will never be in the NBA and they were correct.
Let's talk Hunter Labrada. This is a guy who can certainly be a top 6 guy. He really impressed the heck out of me in his win this year. Mm-hmm. He showed maturity beyond his years. He has a command of the stage and presentation of his physique that's second to none. He's made almost 10-pound muscle improvements from last year. I think he's ready to step into that top 6 of the pro rank, of the Olympia ranks, excuse me. And I I don't know where he's going to fit into the equation because we don't know. Because there's always going to be guys that are out of shape and off, and they're going to be pushed out of that top 6. But I think Hunter, I've never seen him out of shape. I think he's going to be a top 6 guy this year.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
That's why I said if you can get these placings in order, go buy a lotto ticket the next day, because like we said, apart from Ramy winning from the 2nd down to 6th, 7th, 8th, it could be, like I said, because there's so many different physiques too. You have the more symmetrical ones, you have the freakier ones, and that's why I could never understand, even back in the old days, it's like they never went in order. Because you always think, okay, if a freak wins like Dorian, the next guy should be a freak, and the next one should be a freak, and then it would go down to symmetrical. But sometimes they'd go Dorian, and then symmetrical flex, and then a freaky NASA third. So it'd be like freak, symmetrical, freak, and then it just kept going like that. It's like you think it would all be in some sort of order of judging, where if they're judging a freak first, then the next big freak should be second and third, and then we go into the symmetrical type of people. But that's all over the fucking shop like a mad woman's breakfast.
Lee, it amounts to who. Let's say we got like 12 or 13, 12 good guys that are potential top 6 guys. Of those 12 guys, if we're lucky, 6 of them will be in the best shape of their life. And that will be your top 6. And then where they're arranged is up to the judging. It happens every year like that.
John, look at Dave. He's getting old. He's so fucking negative Nancy, isn't he? Look at him. Only 6 will be in shape. Fucking
only
old
6.
bastard. Oh, fucking negative cunt. Look at him fucking going on.
Now, I just want to pull up a picture of James because we were talking about him before. I love his work ethic. I think he is the epitome of the hardworking bodybuilder who achieves way more than people ever expected him, because he's so dedicated to his craft. And I respect that, because that was the kind of bodybuilder that I was. I said, you know what? Maybe I don't have the greatest genetics, but I'm going to maximize whatever I do have and try to make it as good as. And that's what he's done. And I think he's exceeded a lot of people's expectations. Where he places, I don't know. Who knows? If there could be 10 guys out of shape, he could be top 6. But at the end of the day, I think that what he's doing is he's creating a brand for himself, and people like him. There's a huge fan base. He's got a great social media following. He's going to make a great living in bodybuilding. And I think if you had to ask him what his goal was probably in bodybuilding, that's what it would be, to earn, be able to pay my bills from what I love doing. And, in that sense, he is Mr. Olympia because he's able to, to make his way doing what he loves.
People used to always say when I was competing and stuff, what's it like to be you, Lee? How's it feel? And I could never describe it, but today I can. Because everyone can't get on Instagram and stuff, now you know what it feels like to be me.
Oh, you got a big mouth. That's why you got a big mouth.
Oh, come on, Dave. I give my opinions. I can't help if the fact checkers don't like the C word or something.
You know what it is. You've pissed off Instagram and Facebook. So I think you're on the wanted list. So
I am. I can't even write the word fool. If I write
I
fool,
think your profile is tagged, so they know as soon as you slip up or say anything wrong, they ban you instantly.
Yeah,
that's what it
crazy.
Is.
I got to write fool. F-O-L. Someone's writing Biden as a fool.
Look at the hold on. Look at I'm trying to be kind and nice, but I got to just this dumb ass.
Come on,
obviously complete. He thinks I'm purposely putting up a picture of James Hollingshead when he was 10 pounds ago. There's no fucking Instagram, you fucking moron.
Oh, fuck.
Otherwise, I'd pull a picture from yesterday. Okay.
Oh man,
listen, John,
fucking stupid.
Listen to Dave. Listen to Dave.
I'm doing my best to put up pictures. I don't have any place to pull the pictures.
I mean, follow along, douchebag. Yeah. We've been saying this the whole fucking show. You stupid fucking moron.
Oh God!
Everyone thinks I have an agenda. Like I'm trying to fucking fuck people up. I like all these guys. I'm trying to do my best here. We're live. All right.
This is a strange show, and I'm the calm, sensible one. All of a sudden,
that's right.
Listen,
right.
What have you two?
I'm getting hungry. That's why I'm getting very irritable. I'm hungry.
Have you two upped your HRT programs or something? Jesus Christ! Calm down, boys.
Believe me, I need a shot.
No, Lee. You know what it is? Dave and I have this insane allergy to stupidity.
Yeah, to stupidity, exactly.
And when it happens, and then he and I are together, and you get like a douchebag like that, and makes a stupid, fucking idiotic comment like that, you go like, what the fuck? Are people really that fucking dumb?
You two need to be like me. Look, when people write silly shit, you just rise above it. You don't reply. Just rise above it. Let it go.
You don't rise above anything. You reply instantly. That's why you
Shut up, Dave. Just shut the fuck up, Dave. I'm trying to be fucking second.
Hey, well, I want to just wish everyone the best at the Olympia this coming. Obviously, Chris Bumstead will be defending his title. Sean Clarita defending his title in the 212. We have a great lineup of programming the rest of the week. Tomorrow I'll have Dan Solomon on, Jay Cutler. So, and then we have obviously all our pre-Olympia coverage. Chris Aceto will be out at the show with Sid all weekend long, and Sid is actually going to be doing some announcing for Dan as well. So that's
where is Chris today? Where is Chris today?
Chris is actually in the hotel already. You know, he's got like 16 guys in the Olympia or something like that.
God, bloody hell.
And the worst internet connection.
And the worst internet connection of all time.
Yeah.
I saw a photo of Hassan. Hassan looked a bit better in the photo I saw of him posing. He looked a bit dry.
If he brings conditioning, he's dangerous, you know, very dangerous. But all right, I'm going to wrap this thing up, guys. Thanks for joining us live, of course. And Lee, we'll have you on, I guess, tomorrow for Iron Rage. We'll have a good topic we'll figure out. And unless you want to get up early. Unless you want to get up early and join us for after hours tomorrow.
Oh, no. I'll see how I'm going because with this daylight savings change, I'm waking up at 3 a.m. now. So, you know.
He's got to go to bed at 6 o'clock at night now, John.
I'm falling asleep at 7:30. What are you talking about?
Lee, all you got to do is live on our time, and then everything will be fine.
You should do that, right? I mean, you're in lockdown anyway over there, so you might as well just be on New York time, you know.
Well, when I come to America next year, I'm going to stay for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to go visit people. I'm going to come out to that side. So I'll come see you. Or Jimmy wants me to go stay at his place for a couple of days.
Then
I'll come down.
Here too.
Jimmy would tell you he'll be in Florida by then, but I wouldn't believe him. So
Jimmy and I are going on a road trip. We're going down to Cape Canaveral. Jimmy and I. We're going to the Space Museum.
And he's trailering his bike down here. And we're going riding together.
Hey, he said he's going. He told me he's going to Florida for the summer. He's been showing me the truck the other day. I'm sure he's going to tell you how the truck didn't have brakes.
He's supposed to do it for the winter league, to get out of the winter in New York. That's what he's supposed to do.
But he'd rather be hauling that.
Yeah.
I heard the whole story the other day of Jimmy driving the truck and the brakes weren't working. The boss is like, "What do you mean the brakes aren't working?" He's like, "The fucking brakes in the truck aren't fucking working. I put my foot on the fucking brake and the truck's not."
It's a broken record. We hear the same stories every fucking week.
With the wheel, did he tell you one about the wheel falling off at the airport?
Yeah, I got that one. Yeah. But now you got to admit this would be funny. Me taking Jimmy to the Space Museum in Florida and just having Jimmy walk around there. And just
disputing it all, yeah.
This is all bullshit.
The people, you got all those real space nuts in there that believe it and love it.
Telling the kids it's all fake.
Look at this fucking bullshit. Hey, son, don't believe your dad. This is bullshit.
Look at that. Made of aluminum foil. It's made of aluminum foil, that rover.
Yeah. Could you imagine Jimmy down there? Actually, Jimmy would be great. You know those people when you get into tourist groups and they take you around and they tell you? Put Jimmy in, substitute Jimmy as one of them. And it'll be like, see this fucking piece of shit here? This never went to the fucking moon, this piece
for
of
like
shit.
fifth graders. For like a whole bunch of fifth graders.
Disillusioning the youth of our country.
No, for the Japanese tourists, because they'd be like, what?
Where he's holding that little sign up,
come on, follow the flag.
Jimmy doesn't like Asian people that much because they always cut him off on the road. So, all right, I got to wrap this up. Guys, love you, man. And as we say every week here with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth
hurts.
Have fun at the Olympia.
I'm going to train.